Hi, Book 2. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and it's time for another character discussion. So, since this evening I saw Wicked Part 2, I thought we'd talk about... Actually, I was thinking I'll just talk about Elphie, but actually I'm going to talk about both Elphie and Glinda together in this video. So, the book is, of course, very different from the musical. And like the book is a lot darker and grittier, and there's a lot more weird stuff going on, and the story is a little bit different. I mean, they still cover the plot points of looking at what is good and what is evil and fighting for, social justice and everything, but it does have it goes a different route with the story than the book does. So I'm gonna talk about this character discussions is gonna or it's the characters discussion is gonna cover both versions, both the musical and the book. Although I probably remember the musical a little bit better than the book. I mean, although I remember the book a little bit better than before, because I did reread it a few years ago. And it does help that I watched, like, other people's, like, I just watched, the channel, The Book Always Wins. That's where, she compares movie adaptations to their book counterparts. And that kind of refreshed my memory a little bit about what happens in the book. But, so like I said, I'm going to talk about both characters because I feel like they kind of are like this. They go together. Although more so in the musical than in the book. So, in case you have not gone around to reading the book or seeing the infamous Wicked musical, this is the backstory of the Wicked Witch. So it's kind of it's a fan fiction of Wizard of Oz. Where it explains the origins of the Wicked Witch and Glinda, and all the different characters of Oz. Although the musical focuses more, gives even more origin stories to the Dorothy's 3 companions. But anyway, so this Elphie's character she is ostracized from the beginning of her birth. Like, so her origin is that her dad was the governor of Munchkin Land, and her mom was having an affair with a traveling salesman who gave her this, got her drunk on this green elixir stuff, and that is why Elphie's skin is green. But she doesn't find that out until much later. In fact, actually, I don't think she ever finds out. Although I think in the book she finds out, but actually in the musical she doesn't find out. But or she hasn't, like, who her father is specifically. And so she's always been, mocked and she's been made fun of. People are scared of her, and the girl has a lot of power. And so people think she's scary, and she has a sort of close relationship with her sister, who has, like, in the book she has no arms, but in the musical they kept she still has her arms, but she can't walk. She has these, I can't remember what it was with her, like, what specifically was with her legs. But I know and so she's very protective of her sister, and they were very close growing up. And then, but she's hated by her father. First of all, because of her green skin, and because her mom died giving birth to her, and so he resents her. So she is grows up very lonely, has a very sad and lonely childhood, and is very bitter and grows up bitter and very angry. And then you have Glinda, who she's very privileged, has a really great life. She's very loved by everyone. Now what I learned, what I didn't realize until I reread the book and watching the channel The Book Always Wins in her review of the book in the musical is that actually in the book Glinda can do a little bit of magic. While in the musical Glinda can't do magic. In fact in the musical she when at Shiz, which is the college in Oz, she desperately wants to be part of the program that is headed by the headmistress Madame Warble, and Madame Warble, thinks she's incompetent and a complete idiot in the musical. But she sees what Elphaba can do, how powerful she is, so she immediately takes her on. And, right away, Glinda and Elphaba do not like each other at first. They are complete opposites of personalities, and they just do not like each other, but eventually they come together, and they slowly, over time, become genuine friends. Now, it's like I said, it's very interesting in the book, their friendship, because, they're a lot, I feel like in the stage musical, they become a lot closer, and their bond is really a big focus in the story. While in the book, it's not as much of a focus. So, but I love their friendship. Even though, in the musical anyway, even though they're complete opposites, Glinda's such a bubbly person, and then you have Elphaba, who's so kind of cynical and very serious person, and very passionate and very vocal about her beliefs. She is very all about social justice, fighting for the rights of animals. In this world, you have animals with a lowercase a, those are the regular animals, but then you also have animals with a capital A they can talk, they can think, they are anthropomorphic, they are basically like humans, but of course they are physically animals, so humans are scared of them, think they're dangerous, and the wizard tries to, part of the conflict is that the wizard is has the message of animals should be seen, not heard. And we don't know about that, right? Elphaba doesn't realize, we don't realize that the wizard is the one doing all that. In fact, Elphaba wants to go to him when she gets the chance to go to Emerald City. She wants to talk to him and thinking he'll help her fight, make sure the animals with capital A will receive rights. So she's very ambitious, very passionate, all about, fighting for social justice and what is right. And of course, it makes sense because she was ostracized and bullied her whole life. And she wants to fight for those who have experienced what she's experienced, the bullying and the unjust prejudice that she experienced, the animals also experience. And so there is a theme of, fighting against people silencing you. That part of the plot really is explored. That part of the plot explores that theme of fighting for, your voice to be heard and not to be silenced, not to be told to shut up and, do what you're told. Stay in line. I feel like that's definitely a lot of focus there. And Elphaba is the loudest, and she will not do that. She is a fighter, and in fact, that's probably why she is made. That is why she's made the Wicked Witch, because she will not shut up and be submissive. She fights back. She is very vocal, and and I think there's a lot more of that in the musical focuses a lot more on that. While the book is more, she's still fighting for the animal rights, but she has all these other things that she becomes obsessed with and focused on, and kind of her goals eventually at one point in the story change and go out the window because, and I think in the book, she's not as good at magic as she is in the musical. Like in the musical, like I said, she's very powerful. But in the book, I guess she's not. I mean, I would need to reread it for a third time to know for sure, but I don't think she's as powerful in the book. And she's also one of those very, like I said, she's very serious. But she's very softened in the musical, I think. And she's a lot more vulnerable. Like, she's very hard-hearted in the book. Like, in the book, she believes that she has no soul. And, which, for me personally, I don't believe that. I believe every person has a soul, every human. Of course, this is a fantasy world, so I don't know how that works. But she kind of hardens herself and does not show her emotions, doesn't get emotionally attached to people. And I think it's in there in the musical, but it really, in the musical, like I said, she's very softened in the musical. And you see her desire for acceptance and to be loved. And she is almost tempted by the wizard to join his way of thinking. But then she realized that she's reminded that he's full of BS. And that he's still very corrupt. And it's kind of heartbreaking because she so badly wanted to believe in him. She really looked up to the wizard in the musical. Now, like I said, it's been so long since I read the book. I mean, yes, it's been only a few years since I read it, but that's enough time for me to forget things, most of the plot of the book. So this is based a lot on the musical. But like I said, I watch, channels like better. The book is always better, or almost always better. And she is talking, she read the book for when the movie came out to see, so that, I'll be able to compare the two. Because that's where channel is comparing adaptation to the original source material. Now, Glinda, on the other hand, is someone, like I said, in the book, she can do magic, while in the musical, she can't. And you feel sorry for her, too, in a different way, in the sense that she's capable, she does have a heart, she's just, and is very loving and caring person, but she's sometimes very misguided, and is very spoiled, and very, all about, she wants to be liked. She's desperate to be loved by people. And so she puts on a show, like a performance, and just pretends she knows what she's doing, but she really doesn't. Like I said, this is more leaning towards the musical version, not necessarily the book version. But it's funny that these two come together. It just proves, even though it's not a romantic relationship, although I'm sure at some point I'm sure people do ship their romantic way. And I do think the love story, more so the musical, their story is the love story. But I don't mean it necessarily in a romantic way, but I'm sure people will put them together romantically. But anyway, I lost my train of thought. Where was I? So, I was talking about Glinda. And how, so she's someone who does not, she is a good person deep down, but she doesn't realize she doesn't think about the consequence of her actions, and she's a coward. She's afraid to, she doesn't want to rock the boat, and tries to take the easy route, and is why fight when it's just gonna, it's gonna bite you in the ass later. I remember what my train of thought was earlier, their friendship. So I'm saying that opposites attract. So I think not just in romantic relationships, but as far as friends, people that are complete opposites can attract each other, can be drawn to each other. Because it's you can make the case of what Elphaba and Glinda are missing within themselves, the other one provides that. I'm wondering, like, so, like, you know, Elphaba is passion and but in seriousness, while Glinda is more provides like fun and lightheartedness and hope, and to be, to enjoy life. Though they also get that with Fiyero too. In the music, like Fiyero's not as big of a part in the book, which I find interesting that they actually on Better Than the Book's Always Better channel, she mentions or she didn't mention, but I read a comment and now I forgot. I just remember what the comment. Now I forgot what it was about. I think it was about Fiyero. But anyway, since I can't remember, I'm old. But yeah, it's a very interesting friendship. And these two provide balance in each other's lives. And they really help guide each other. They shape each other. And they have a very beautiful relationship. It's very tragic how it ends, actually, how they are forced to go their separate ways. But I think they are good for each other, as they say. They bring good in each other's lives. They bring strength to the other. And like I said, what the other one is lacking, they bring to them. And there's a balance. It's like yin and yang with the two of them. But yeah, and like this cover I think really illustrates that. Like she's wearing all black and Glinda's in white. I think that really, I said the yin and yang theme, the whole idea of yin and yang between the two of them. So really I just realized this is more than just a character. This kind of is a discussion of their relationship as well, I feel like. Anyway, I I kind of like the musical, but I love both. I love both versions. I know a lot of people were disappointed when they read the book because the book kind of goes in a different direction. But I love the okay, I'm sorry. I should have turned off this lamp behind me, but now it looks like it's like the deadlights from it. It's like and the deadlights are behind me. But I do kind of like how they soften Elphaba's character, and Glinda is more involved in the story, and they give her, I feel like she is one of those personalities that is like likable. You can't help but like her and kind of love her in a way, even though you know that she's made some misguided decisions and can be very selfish and very vain. You still kind of have a soft spot for her. You still like her, and I think even more so in the musical. So I think even though I love both, I do lean to the characterizations more so in the musical version. But anyway, so but either way, these are just such intriguing characters and just compelling women, and and I don't know. I mean, I would love to be friends, but sometimes I think that I would be more friends with Glinda because I don't think Elphaba would even like Elphaba might not even like me because she's so hard. She's very hard to impress. I think, like she has very high standards because she has been really mocked and ridiculed her whole life. So it's like I think it was hard for her to get close to people. And I think she has put her in a position of where she'll judge people, and she's not as easily, because she puts herself on the outside, she can really observe people's behavior and understand them, and is very aware of who she can trust and not trust. Now, of course, with the wizard, she got that wrong, but she believed he was someone to be looked up to, but that was because she couldn't it wasn't until she finally met him in person that she realized he was full of crap. And your heart breaks for her when she realizes this, that the wizard is fake, that he's a fraud. Well, and so meanwhile, Glinda, it goes with the flow, because she figures, oh, the only solution is to go with, what they're set, It's like she's very much trying to protect herself, I feel like. And I think she has to learn that, in the musical, she definitely has to learn the lesson of you can't take the easy way out all the time. So, unfortunately, I wish this could be more book focused, but because it's been a while since I read the book, again, it's been a few years since my second reread of this, and there's it's easier for me, and sometimes I hate to say it, but sometimes it's easier for me to remember movies and TV shows. That's why, when it comes to adaptations, I remember the adaptations better than the books. So yeah, most of this discussion is being inspired by the musical. But anyway, so those are my thoughts on Elphaba and Glinda, the characters of Elphaba and Glinda, the Good Witch of the North and the Wicked Witch of the West. So, are any of you familiar with have any of you ever read the book? It is an interesting book. It's very, now, there's some weird stuff in here. The Philosophy Club, I think it was called. That's a very interesting section. It's very different from the Ozda's Ballroom parts in the musical. It's not the same, just to warn you. And it's a lot darker and grittier story. It's also but I think it's still a very intriguing read. So you need to look at the musical it's a very loose adaptation of the book. So if you have not read the book, be prepared that it's very loose. I mean, it has the basic premise of the story, but it is very loose interpretation of what goes on in this one. And I understand if you end up not liking the book. I just think it's unfair to the book if you go in there expecting what happens in the musical is what happens in the book. So don't expect that. But anyway, I'm gonna go. And that's all I gotta say. So I hope you guys I hope you guys found this video interesting. And I would love to know what you're currently reading right now. And have you read Wicked already? Have you seen the musical? And I would love to know in the comments below. And I will talk to you all later. All right, bye.